And we are here. We believe. And we believe in the essential goodness of every human being. And it's never too late.
And you see it there, Jan Guthrie posting a heartbreaking video begging whoever has her missing mother, Nancy, to simply do the right thing. Good morning, everyone. This is the National News Desk, America's News Now. I'm Angela Brown in for Jan Jeffcoat. We want to welcome now our charged viewers live with us on the East Coast and recorded on the West. Right now, authorities are reviewing new evidence found during their search. They interviewed more people, in fact, and even called out the SWAT team over the weekend. But so far, no arrests have been made. Today marks this number right here, 16 days since the search began to find Nancy. Let's get right over to Mark Boyle at the live desk. You've been following all the developments. I know we've been covering so much of the different pieces of evidence, from the backpacks to other pieces of evidence, but there's new stuff on the table now.
Well, they're looking at this DNA evidence from the gloves that have been found. And Angela, this has just got to be so painful for the family involved in this, as there's new revelations coming into play day by day. One of the biggest we're learning about here this morning is that black glove. This is the photograph found about 1.5 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's home. Now, detectives say this, they believe, belongs to this man right here, the guy who was caught on the camera, and the key suspect in this case who's still on the run. Now, in the next few hours today, the FBI should be placing the DNA results from that glove we just showed you a picture of into the national database, where it could be matched up with a person already on file with the FBI. While investigators wait for that process to be done, the Guthrie family is still holding out hope their mom is alive.
And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is, that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing.
Over the weekend, investigators also searched a black Range Rover. It was found parked at a fast food restaurant in Tucson. They ran through the evidence in this case. Detectives questioned the driver, who was later released. They also took DNA samples, and those will be tested today. As new evidence comes to light, we're staying on top of the very latest. If there are any updates, breaking updates throughout the morning, we'll have it for you right here on air or throughout the day on our website, thenationaldesk.com.
All right, Mark. Well, many people want to know, obviously, more about what's happening with Nancy, but also how Jan Guthrie is personally doing. You can see and hear the pain in her voice and her face. Of course, her mother is missing. Her Today Show family also rallying behind her. New reports of how they're doing that. She's likely to be gone from the Today Show for the foreseeable future. Her contract coming up for renewal this year. For right now, Hoda is filling in for her. Now,
investigators say DNA evidence found at Nancy Guthrie's house and this widely discussed glove could be crucial to identifying a suspect and ultimately possibly finding her. It's now been 17 days since she vanished, and authorities are running DNA through a national database to see if there's any hits. Joining us this morning to discuss is veteran FBI special agent in charge and former head of the Chicago PD, Jody Weis. Jody, I'm gonna get right into it because this glove they're calling evidence is so interesting because it's the one from the crime scene, they say, so clearly, but they aren't letting us know everything they know. How do they know this is that glove? How do they know for sure it's the one the suspect used?
Yeah, good to see you, Jan. My understanding is that it's based on visual similarity. Now, I don't know when they magnify this, if there were textures or patterns, but that's my understanding from visual similarity. So let's hope it is the right glove.
So I have to ask you, if that glove does produce DNA, they're saying it could be of the suspect. If someone in the house touches something and then that suspect touches that object that someone else touched, couldn't there be like multiple DNA profiles on the glove?
Yeah, it could be. I understand that the DNA that it's in the glove, it is from a single male. So that's a good thing. It's not a mixture. It's pretty just straightforward, one person. Remember, the samples were taken from family members and anybody else that could have been in the house. So those would be known samples.
Correct.
I understand there was an unknown sample that was recovered that will hopefully match the sample on the glove. Hopefully that all would be in CODIS, and then we could see where this goes. If it's not a direct hit, then they can start looking at the family members. But I'm kind of surprised we don't have those results. I think it was a ridiculous move to start separating the evidence and sending this all to the lab in Florida rather than FBI lab in Quantico, because I think they'd have the results by now.
Correct, because it's been several days now. I remember in the Idaho murders, the knife sheath became so pivotal in their investigation, and they identified Kohberger really early on, but they kept track of him for weeks until they finally made that arrest, that traffic stop. Is that what we're looking at here? They know who this person is, but they're just watching them because they still haven't found Nancy and are hopeful the suspect's going to lead them to her?
Yeah, I don't think so, Jan. And I say that because you have to remember in the Kohberger case, that was a homicide. Sadly, there were no lives to save. I think if I was running that case and we had a really good lead and they told me we're pretty positive this is the guy, we would grab him right away.
Another big development came yesterday when the sheriff said that the family was cleared, including the siblings and their spouses. What did you make of this?
I'm glad they were cleared. I thought it's kind of surprising that he seemed to come out more based upon feelings, that he thought it was unfair. You do have to remember, though, law enforcement doesn't have to tell us anything. And as you and I have discussed, family members are usually the first ones you look at to possibly rule them out because they have access to the victim. So I am happy. I don't know if they just learned something the other day that cleared them. I don't know why it was yesterday, unless they were upset that he felt that they were being unfairly targeted. But it's good. Now, keep in mind, things can change. Down the road, if something happens, they could come back into play. But I am glad he put that out because I think a lot of people were just wondering, what's with the family?
Well, for the longest time, he said nothing about that for the longest time, and we couldn't understand why that was. And the thought was because he could not clear them. Also, we were told initially that Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker signal could not be detected. Now we see helicopters using technology to search for it. So what changed here?
Yeah, I think it's technology. I had no idea you could pick up such a faint signal as a pacemaker. And pacemakers today are like very small. They're like less than an inch. And it's just new technology, amazing antennas that can pick this up. And some people might say, well, what's the advantage of that? Well, think about looking at nighttime where visual observations wouldn't work, or maybe light brush if a body was put underneath some brush out in the desert, or maybe a tarp was put over it. So, it's not a magic bullet, but it's one more thing to try and find this poor woman who's been missing now for almost in the third week.
Right. And the fact there's been no proof of life, the fact that this alleged suspect is contacting media, not the family, the fact that an 84-year-old woman was taken from her home without a trace. Is this suspect really that technologically savvy that no one can figure out where an email originated? I mean, they've already caught one imposter who's demanding Bitcoin. What's the issue here with finding who's behind these emails that are being sent to these television stations and to TMZ?
Yeah, there's so many questions on this, Jan. I mean, no proof of life. That's kind of standard. Look at the facts. I looked up the data, 20 to 25. Less than 0.2% of kidnapping victims were over the age of 80. So that alone is very odd. And the information, all the ransom requests going to TMZ, I mean, this is a really strange case. Sadly, we have far more questions than we have answers.
Yeah, now 17 days into this investigation. Veteran FBI special agent in charge and former head of the Chicago PD, Jody Weis. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jan.